Mike and Tom are registered with Steward Partners Global Advisors. Common Sense Finance with Mike Wigginton and Tom Farrell of HL Wigginton Capital Management, an independent investment and financial planning firm in downtown Jasper. Mike is a chartered financial analyst charter holder, and Tom is a certified financial planner professional. They are here to discuss and give their thoughts on current financial and economic matters. Now, with Common Sense Finance, here are Mike and Tom.
Welcome back to another edition of Common Sense Finance. This is Mike Wigginton. I'm Tom Farrell. And we're going to talk about demons. What do we got here? Demons, dragons, and drama. So
3D. Not virtual, 3D.
Right, just 3Ds. So you ran across this article, and this is something we see a lot. And it the article's trying to show you one thing, or somebody has said one thing, but they really, if you dig deep into it, it's not really actually what it seems to be on the surface. And I know you wanted to point this out with, and a lot of this has to do with BlackRock and some other big money managers. But
Well, the title of the article is they already own 89% of the S&P 500, and now they're coming after your house. Something to that effect. Oliver Stone's going to flash the source in the article, and you go look for it yourself. There's an interview with RFK Jr., the presidential candidate, and the whole demons, dragons, and drama title has to do with how these articles and news clips get flashed across the screen, and people buy into it. Even, seasoned clients that you have, they say, well, they're seasoned investors. They've invested in the stock market, for 40 years, okay? They buy into it. They believe what they see, and it's just inaccurate, okay? So I just wanted to cover a couple of pieces of that, because especially we're in the campaign season, and these sorts of things are going to be seen more in my mind, in my thinking, more than they normally would. All right, so first part. And I'm no fan of BlackRock because I don't like their CEO, Larry Fink. Okay? So get that out of the way. Who cares? But so I'm not defending anybody. Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock. The three biggest, the business that they're in are putting together exchange-traded funds. Okay? And so to a lesser degree, mutual funds. But mutual funds have taken a way backseat to exchange-traded funds for various reasons that are beyond the scope of this podcast. Why are they putting together so many exchange-traded funds? Because investors demand them. 401k plans. Some of you maybe have heard or participated in a 401k plan. Demand them. Okay? So the growth in these companies reflect what the investors, largely retail investors, the small investor like you and I on the other side, are demanding. It's made life easier and cheaper for us. And who doesn't want that? Okay? So first of all, they're not nefarious companies doing something over on the side that's that's just totally against your best interest. So when you pop open, and Matthew's going to show a Bloomberg screen now, and I just chose Apple. You can choose anything. This has nothing to do with Apple. So this is not a compliance issue, okay, because we're not talking about Apple. I pulled my Bloomberg screen. It shows the top holders. I pull it for anybody, okay? Shows the top holders. This is what they're talking about. And you'll see Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, if you can zoom in on that. Well, yes, because they're acquiring those shares to build their exchange-traded funds. Think about a fund that tracks the S&P 500. And they've got to own so many shares inside those in order, to track the index that they're trying to. Or what if it's a artificial intelligence ETF? Then who's going to be in that? Google, Apple, amongst others. Okay, right. So that's what they're doing. That's why, and because there's so many ETFs out there, they've got to acquire more and more of these shares. So that's what's going on behind that. So when you look in your brokerage account, for instance, and you see. And you own a fund that tracks the S&P 500. All right, you're the beneficial owner. But if you look at and there's something to this. As a matter of fact, that in my mind we should have a little bit of concern over. But really, they're the registered owner. And what's important about that is that they get to vote the shares. But it's just like your mutual fund. It's the same way. If you own mutual funds or ever have in your life, you're the beneficial owner. It's in your brokerage account. But the fund company is the registered owner, and they get to vote the shares. And they're supposed to vote the shares, based on their owners' wishes and what's right for their owners. But they vote the shares based on their own agenda. And that's where I would have concern with it, because you get a lot of these folks that say they own Exxon, and then they want to come in because they own so many shares of Exxon and say, well, you need to quit drilling for oil, and you need to start, painting pictures, or bottling water or something. And it really changes the complexion of the company. So that's kind of a bit of a danger there. And some of these people that own these shares do have some ideas and some agendas that are not in keeping with, what the company's done forever. So that's, even though I'm exaggerating before to make a point, there can be some cause for concern that some of these companies get to vote the shares.
Well, yeah, you get activists on the board that are kind of forced in there sometimes through this means. That can be a problem.
So the second thing about this article, because it wasn't just about owning 89% of the S&P 500, all right, so all the shares. So you need to put that into context. That was just garbage headline to, what do they call it, clickbait?
Clickbait, yeah.
To get you, but people that see that, oh my God, and it's like, no, that's not what you think, so ignore that. The other thing is, and apparently in this interview, that you can go read it and even watch the interview for yourself, JFK, and he uses the word might own 60% of residential housing. Well, so that's been in a lot of headlines. Oh, not just first-time home buyers, but it could be any-time home buyers are running up against competition, bidding, trying to buy houses.
Taking all the inventory, and there's nothing left out there, yeah.
And so I'm not, if you have experienced that, I'm not minimizing that at all, okay? And I'm not stating that I wouldn't, that I don't get your frustration. We were looking for some property in the last 18 months. And like a couple of parcels I knew were going on the market before they went on the market. And so I was sitting there ready because I had a particular interest, in at least, putting in an offer. Man, the day they went on, there was 3 other offers. So not from corporations, from other individuals.
Right.
Bidding wars happen. But here's my thing. So real estate investment trusts, REITs, are our acronym. They've been around forever. That you and I could participate in office property, apartments, data centers, data warehouse. That's right. Through owning REITs, they're publicly traded. The cool thing about that is you can get in or get out with a keystroke. So it provides, perfect liquidity. And so residential housing is just another sector, a piece of the real estate market. And so when you look at what happened because this really started after the 2008, 2009 debacle, and Blackstone, you can pull up, I've got a slide that Matt will put up here for Blackstone, not BlackRock, Blackstone, okay, was the largest, and unless they sold it off, they were the largest owner of single family houses in the country. And they bought a lot of these zombie mortgages where people, defaulted after the 08-09 crisis that went on for several years. And that got a ton of bad press. I just don't know. I get it that it's psychological when you're running into corporations trying to buy a house, because, and I don't know that I want to say normal, because it's, there's a big swath of the American citizenry that don't own a house, but there's a giant swath, that percentage that do. And so those are, let's call them everyday people. Well, everyday people aren't out trying to buy data centers, and so they're not running into competition except with other individuals like themselves. So when you start running into competition from Blackstone to buy a house, I get that could be upsetting. I'm just not so sure, but what more's being made out of it than there actually is. I think that what you're going to see, and keeping in mind also that the more competition you have, it does keep a floor under prices, and if you own real estate, that's good for you, you know,
Yeah.
supporting your values. And what I would guess is that to the degree that is true and is being felt across a wide piece of the potential home buyers, this increased prices, that other options are going to come available. The market's going to make other options come available, and whatever those may be, buying new, okay, buying your own piece of property and building, you know. But anyway, I know those are headlines that are put out, and I'm not even going to call it hyperbole. You know, when people use hyperbole, it's an obvious exaggeration that they don't intend for you to believe.
Right.
Okay. But this is, I absolutely believe that the journalists intend for you to believe that. Take that literally. I mean, it's just
To get you to look at the article.
it's drama.
Yeah.
It's more drama, you know, in a drama-laden world, as I see it. That's the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about that.
That's it?
You want me to say something else?
Nope.
Controversy. Do you get high? Does your daddy cry? Controversy. 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 Do I believe God? Do I believe me? Some people wanna die so they can be free. So life is just a game. We're all just the same. Controversy. Controversy. Controversy.